Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. It's been kind of a slow week for MTG Finance, and this sort of thing tends to happen when we get into spoiler season. Everybody's kind of holding their breath, see what we're going to be getting, and we are right into the thick of spoiler season for Double Masters, that is to be sure. Man, there's some really cool stuff in this set. I can't wait to see the final list. But all of that said, there has definitely been some interesting movements. So let's dive right into our top 10 list, and we're going to start right here with Cabal Ghoul from Arabian Nights. You may have heard me talking over the last few weeks and months about how some of these older sets like Arabian Nights, Antiquities, things like that have become huge targets for collectors and investors. A lot of the cards don't really make sense to me. They're just cards that don't really see play or whatever the case may be. But Cabal Ghoul is a little bit different, and I think it actually warrants a price like $73. By the way, this thing's up 40% this week. All right, we're looking at a card that's on the reserve list. It is from a super old set, Arabian Nights. Really tough to get your hands on a card like this right now. And this thing is actually really good and really useful for something like Commander. For just 1 mana, we're getting a 1/1. But at the end of each turn, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on this thing for each creature that died this turn and was not regenerated. So it's nice to see cards on the move that can actually be really useful in a format like Commander. So coming in at number 9, we have Shark Typhoon from Ikoria Lair Behemoth, sitting at an even $10, and this thing's also up 40% this week. The major increase for this card has been Wilderness Reclamation. That's the runaway deck in Standard. There's no question about that. The Players Tour was just this weekend. Rec decks were putting up 7-0 finishes all over the place, and most rec decks run anywhere from 2 to 4 Shark Typhoon, some combination in there. That said, this is also getting play in virtually every other format. I mean, look at this. There's even vintage decks with this thing in it. But obviously, Standard and Modern are taking a look at using Shark Typhoons in their main board as well. So where does Shark Typhoon fit in after rotation? I mean, we're only a couple of months away from rotation. In October, we're going to be getting Zendikar Rising, and then Wilderness Reclamation will cease to exist in Standard anyway. I mean, Wilderness Reclamation is rotating out, and that is the key component for the deck. So all of that said, I think at $10 is not a terrible entry point at this point for this card. I mean, like I said, I think it's the sleeper card in the set. This is going to be getting played in Commander for like ever. If we don't have any reprints, this is the kind of card that we're just going to continuously see a graph like this. We're going to see a dip when it comes out of Standard. I mean, all these people that have this in their Standard deck running Wilderness Rec decks are going to maybe dump, several copies of it, just keep a couple around for Commander or whatever other decks they may have. So we will have some more Shark Typhoon enter the marketplace at that point. And this will either stabilize or possibly dip a little bit. But long term, I think that this is a climber. It's just a really solid card. Coming in at number 8 this week, we have Fervor from Weatherlight. So this is the original Weatherlight printing, currently sitting around $3.50, and we're up 44% this week. It's got a few other printings, mostly core set type printings, and the Magic 2013 printing is definitely your best bet if you need to pick up Fervor. You can still get that for under $2. Fervor's gained a lot of attention lately because of decks like Cyrus the Writhing Storm. I mean, if you're going to be making 20 or 40 snakes or something in a turn, it might as well be able to attack with all of them the turn you make them as well. But this kind of card has always been popular in decks like Krenko Mob Boss. Coming in at number 7 this week, we have Sylvan Library. Now, this is obviously the original printing from Legends, sitting at $144, and this thing's up 44% this week. It's not new all-time territory for this. I mean, that was back in 2018. We hit all-time high of $230. But it's always interesting to see the sort of course and path of some of these original printing cards. You can't find a cheap version of Sylvan Library. I mean, on the low end for a whiteboard or 5th edition version, you're going to pay $60. And most of them are in the $60 to sort of $80 range, depending on what set you're looking at. Massive, massive, massive Commander demand for this card. It's never going to be a card that we're going to see enough supply of. It's always going to end up being in a set like a Master set or something like that. It would never, ever be reprinted back into like a Standard set. So we're just never going to have the supply that we actually need. Something like Sylvan Library is always going to carry a hefty price tag. Now, our number 6 winner this week is Kindred Dominance from Commander 2017. Sitting at $30, this thing's up 46% this week. So there was a whole Kindred cycle in Commander 2017, basically one of these cards for each color. And they're all sort of have their place depending on what deck you're in, but Kindred Dominance is definitely the all-star. For 7 mana, we choose a creature type and then we destroy all creatures that aren't the chosen type. Pretty simple, but super effective if you can stick it into some sort of tribal deck. I think that Kindred Dominance, and in fact the whole Kindred cycle, is due for a reprint. I mean, it's been about 3 years, give or take, and Wizards is starting to get to the point where they don't let cards go more than a few years before reprinting them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Kindred Dominance or the entire Kindred cycle in some sort of product next year. Taking up the number 5 spot this week, we have Opposition from Urza's Destiny, sitting at $12, and this thing's up exactly 50% this week. There is a 7th edition printing, and I actually like the art on the 7th edition printing a little bit better. However, I'm not really a white border guy, so my copies, for me personally, are the Urza's Destiny's copies. That said, the 7th edition version is less than half price at just $5.50, so great pickup there if you're looking at having an Opposition for one of your Commander decks. Cards like this have been getting a lot of attention lately, especially because of commanders like Calamax. Calamax needs to be tapped in order to do his thing, so Opposition's a great way to get some value out of tapping down Calamax. You also get to tap something on your opponent's side, so pretty good deal, but just a good solid card in general for a format like Commander. Our number 4 winner this week is Tainted Wood, the Commander Anthology version, currently sitting at $2.87, and this is up 57% this week. Nothing new or special here. These Tainted lands appear on the list every once in a while. The reality is we haven't had a printing in a little while. They all have several printings, but none of them have really been reprinted recently, so supplies are starting to dwindle. Pick up the Dual Decks Jace versus Vraska version for under $2, definitely your best bet, and that version will be playing catch up with all of the other versions anyway, so great time to pick up that one. Coming in at number 3 this week, we have Fibrexian Purge from Mirage, exactly $5, and this thing's up 84% this week. Reserve list card, so it's the only printing of this card. To be honest with you, this has got to be a buyout. I really can't see any other reasoning for that. It's a crappy spell. 1 red, 1 black, and 2, plus 3 life per target to destroy any number of target creatures. I mean, I guess it seems okay if you can find your way to getting infinite life in those colors, but that said, I think if you can find your way to getting infinite life and you're in those colors, there's probably a lot better things you could be doing with your 4 mana. So to me, I think this is just a reserve list buyout. A lot of cards on the reserve list have been huge targets lately. Our number 2 winner this week is a bit of an interesting one. Honor-worn Shaku from Champions of Kamigawa. This thing's at $5 even, and it's also up 84% this week. Sort of a weird card, but works really great in a deck like Calamax. So we have an artifact that costs 3 mana. It's a weird sort of paddle-shaped mana rock. You can tap it to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, but tap an untapped legendary permanent you control and then untap Honor-worn Shaku. So we get a bit of value for tapping down our Calamax, which we want to be tapped down anyway. And our big winner this week is Ethereal Forager from Commander 2020. This thing's up 211% to $5. It's getting a little bit of attention in some legacy burn decks, sort of a weird Delver type card, 6 mana cost, so 2 blue and 4, but it has Delve on it. It's a 3/3 flying whale, and then whenever it attacks, you may return an instant or sorcery card exiled with it to your hand. So kind of cool for something like Commander too, and maybe in the late game we can return some instants or sorceries that we burned through in earlier turns. All right, before I get into cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I post at least 2 videos every week. And if you're interested in supporting this channel, I've included an Amazon link in the description of this video. And whether you're buying a brand new hamster cage or you just want to get an awesome playmat you can't find at your local game store, using that Amazon link will greatly help support this channel. Let's kick things off with Reanimate, specifically the Jumpstart version. Currently valued at $8.50, and this thing is an absolute steal at that price, especially when you consider all of the other printings run in the $13 to $20 range. Big time Commander staple. It won't be long before the Jumpstart version catches up with all of the rest of the printings. Up next, we have Discontinuity, the extended art version. I think this is a bargain at $7, especially when the regular core set one is still holding steady around the $3.50 mark. It's a unique card with unique type abilities. There's not too many cards in the game that just end the turn at instant speed, and it's already finding its way into some Pioneer and Standard decks, but I think eventually this will find its way into the right builds in Commander. And the next one I have for you guys this week is Oblivion Stone, the iconic Masters version. Currently valued at $5.50, and this is just coming up off of all-time lows. Most of the other printings are in the $5 to $6 range, so it's about equivalent to those. Classic staple in modern Tron decks. All kinds of Tron decks utilize Oblivion Stone, but it does get play in other places too, various Commander builds and things like that. It's an iconic card with a lot of reprints, and I think that Wizards will shy away from reprinting Oblivion Stone anytime in the near future. So we should see this card start to recover. All right, and that brings us to our value play for the week. As you remember last week, value plays are not necessarily cards that are fantastic investments, although I do think the Locust God will recover from this $5 price point it's currently at. These are more cards that are great cards, and if you need them for your collection, now is a fantastic time to pick them up for your personal collection. So the Locust God is one of those that just sort of appears in all kinds of different Commander builds. It even makes its way into Pioneer and things like that. And there is a notable price gap between the Hour of Devastation original printing at $8. So picking up the Lotus God for your personal collection at around $5 is a great deal. All right, and last but not least, we have our speculation play for the week. That's right, it's Ruined Halo from Core Set 2021. Absolute bargain price at under 50 cents. And if you can imagine, the original Shadowmoor printing used to be worth $50. That is quite a difference. Now, Ruined Halo has had a couple of reprints in a short period of time. We just had one in Ultimate Masters, and now, of course, in Core Set 2021. So this is why the price, and both of those were at rare, right? So this is why the price on this card is so depressed. With two close reprints like that, it seems unlikely that Wizards would be reprinting this again anytime soon. So picking up droves of these for 50 cents each should lead to fantastic future returns. All right, I really hope you enjoyed this week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.